All right, Dave here. How are you? There we go. Wrong glasses today. Can you hear me now? Just put something in the comment. All good. Okay. All right. So after that fun start, just keep you on your toes. Next week, we're going to have daylight saving will start in my time zone. So if you're not in the same time zone as me, you're going to be 1 hour earlier. The show will be coming on. For a lot of people in the Northern Hemisphere, you'll be also going backwards 1 hour over the next few weeks. And, oh dear. So you'll be going backwards 1 hour, so it'll be a 2 hour difference. Okay, now we've got all of that fun stuff out of the way. Behind me is the table. This today is going to be the reveal, but before we actually get to that part, I've got no idea why I didn't plug the microphone into the computer. There you go. All right, it's all sorted. It rattles me a little bit, but let's just push on. I'm going to show you some parts of the lead up to where we are now. So, silver. I'm feeling great, mate. It's not hard. I did a video on how to do it. Took me 12 weeks, and this is how I'm going to be from here on. All right, so here we go. I'm going to show you this video from during the week of just the different stages I've gone through. It's only a very short video, maybe 1.5 minutes. Here we go. Here we go. To where it's got to go. Once I've got it in position, slide the lever clamp on, under the track, and lock it, and that I'm good to go. Okay, so hopefully that's a little bit of a fill-in for what happened during the week. And also, hopefully, we won't have any more gremlins. I'm going to check that this phone's still not going. No. Bianca, if you're still there, hang up. All right, time for the reveal. Now, this is really, really nice. Take a couple of clamps off. Drop one on the floor, of course. I'm going to blame the cold weather. There we go. I'm going to bring her in nice and close. And possibly even closer than that. How's that? Oh, what's this? What's this down here? Zoe. This thing gets around everywhere. G'day, Ian. How are you? You like this? So that's That's looking really smick now. I'm going to get the other camera on nice and close for you so you can have a good look. I'll bring it over here, I think. Now I did say I had to do a couple of things. Give me a second. All right, camera 3. So last week, I'll bring this in even closer. Yeah, about there. Last week, we put the back of this piece on, and then I used this as the template. I did use a pattern following bit and also the jigsaw, the bandsaw, and also the belt sander to finish getting this all the same. Then I ran a 16mm roundover piece in the router on here and also on the sides of the legs down here. And one of the things we're going to do today is when I flip this table over the right way, we're going to do the same roundover on the top of the table. But at the moment, what we're going to do is going to put one of these plates in about there, this plate here. Now, these are the things, the checkouts, the pockets that I did on the CNC. Funny thing, you know, I was looking at these and I was thinking, all right, well, how am I going to do that? Shall I just go around with the chisel and chop it out? Or shall I make a little jig for my hand trimmer to run around? I thought, oh, on the CNC, what I'll do is I'll make a little jig out of a piece of melamine and I'll run a pattern follower on the inside. And then I thought to myself, why do that? Why not just put these straight on the CNC and do it there? And that's what I did. So I've got 2 of them there. These are mount plates for casters. So the casters are removable and they are designed, I'm just grabbing a couple of pieces here because I'm going to put one on. It's a bit cold today, if you hadn't noticed. Okay, so this is the plate and it's designed to have a caster slide in there and then there's a lever on it that makes it force down and it'll pick the whole table up. So there's 4 of them, 2 at each end. And so this is so I can move the table around on the deck because this is going to go outside, this whole unit. And I can move it into a warm sunny spot on the deck or into shade, or I can move it while I'm cleaning the deck. I don't want this big heavy table on my own to have to move it without wheels. So rather than have casters on the bottom here and look a bit ugly, I thought I'd just put these plates on. They're hidden, they're out of the way, and away we go. So I'm going to slide these bolts in. These are a kit. Rockler make these things, and there's casters that go into them for from Bohr, I should say. These things are designed for workbenches, but what I've done is I've created counter bores in the back to be able to put on this thick section of Cypress. So these are 41mm thick. These are designed to normally go into 19mm thick. So it all works. I have a quick read. Been a busy boy, thumbs up, good. Go back, have a look. Bit chilly in the mountains this morning. Dave's clearly got the air conditioner cracking. I sure have, buddy. I sure have. Now, on the back, there's got a washer and these little nylock nuts. I was thinking about getting longer metal threads and running it through, but I thought it's going to be so much easier just to do the counter bore. First, I need to pop that in there and then hold the screw in position with the Phillips head and then a couple of turns and then socket on the back. That's nice and tight. I'll show you around the back what's happening. See how I've done the counter bores here? So it looks pretty unobtrusive. And I did all this, I oiled all this prior to doing the bolts, the hardware on purpose. So I've got a screwdriver in the back and a washer. and then the nylock nut. Until it starts to get a grip, and then just a socket. Got him. Beautiful. Now the next thing I'm going to do, I'll bring this back around this side again, with the risk of making you seasick, and raise it up. To hold the casters in place, there's these things, and they drop in there. They'll obviously drop in from the other side when I've got the table up the right way, and that holds it so it doesn't fall out, and you just pop these out of the way, take the caster out when you're done. I reckon that's a great idea. I have put a link, and it is an affiliation link, I make no excuse for it, for these in the description box down the bottom. Now the next thing I want to do is put these rubber feet on. Now these are, I don't know who these are, but they're just a rubber foot that's 10 millimeters thick. I did make allowance for the thickness of these on top when I set these casters in position. I think it's 2.5 inches, which is 63 millimeters from there to the ground. That's your setup point. I think this is 4 inches or something like that. Anyway, that will work quite well. Now I need a drill and a drill bit. I'll use a 3 millimeter. And this one. Yeah, what a crummy start to the show, forgetting the sound. Oh well, that's life. All right, going to put one around about here. I'm going to look down the center. That's pretty good. This is a 3 millimeter hole for these screws, and another one here until I'm in the center. And then just either side of the Jarrah piece in the middle. Now, if you're interested in what species these are, the arch is Jarrah, which is Western Australian timber, Australian hardwood, very hard, and these parts here are white cypress pine. Again, an Australian timber. There's all different types of cypress around the world. It's a conifer, but the white Australian cypress is not a really pretty conifer. It's kind of rough looking, and to get timber this size, it's a long time coming. I think you'd probably call it old growth, but there's different types. So I'm putting the screw through the bottom of the leg until it's all the way through. I'll put it in here. If I had my wits about me, I would have got the electric screwdriver. I still can. Only take a second. There's a bit there. Now the finish on it, I'll go into it a little bit more detail soon, is an oil. This is the hard wax oil that everyone was getting from Bunnings. I bought a box of it for $2. It's crazy, isn't it? I was dubious about doing it. I thought the only thing I don't like about oils is that they do tend to give things an orange tint big time. Now the reason it can't be super clear is because they have to put solids in the finish. Now the solids act as a UV filter and stops. I could have used other styles, but the thing is, the other styles aren't normally external. They're normally internal oils only. So the stuff that I've got over there on my bench, which has got Whittle's wax on it, it's an internal product, not an external product. So the things that makes it go orange are the solids they put in it, as I said, to make it resist ultraviolet degradation. Good. One to go, and then it's time to flip her over. And that's the part that I've been looking forward to. So this thing I worked out weighs around 160 kilograms. Multiply that times 2.2, and that's how many pounds it is. Oh, the screw head's not looking too good. We might run into a bit of trouble here. Let's see what happens. Oh, she's a stinker. Bugger, that's a terrible thing. I'm wondering if I've got a smaller screwdriver that will put that in. It came with a packet. I'm surprised that it's not going in. That's not going in either. And I don't really want to change them out because that's a stainless steel screw. Now the thing's stuck in there. Of course it is. I'm going to leave it like that for the moment. I'll end up flipping it back over pretty soon. Oh, I can't leave it like that. It's just going to drive me mental. How am I going to put that in? I know what the problem is. 1/4, one section of the Phillips head screw, or whatever it's called, posi drive, isn't slotted out properly. So I've got 1, 2, 3 prongs of that Phillips head is correct, and one of them just hasn't been machined properly. That is annoying, very annoying. I'll see if I've got another screwdriver that might get into it. Might. It's just not going to do it. I'm going to have to leave it. We'll leave that leg off for the moment. All right, let's do the flip over. Change cameras. Where are we? I'm going to have a quick read. Wayne, thinking you could make some Jarrah plugs for the counterbore. Just a thought. No, I'm going to leave it. I like the look. They're all oiled inside. Thinking the same. Don't get Reddit. You are in the naughty corner. Yes, there's all sorts of things I could do there, but I'm not going to right now. I'm going to move all of this stuff over the back. These are this is what the bottom of the legs, when I trim them down to accept the weight, the length of those feet. All the little things you've got to keep your wits about you while you're doing this. One of the things you've got to keep your wits about you is turning the bloody sound on at the beginning of the show. Look, there's a lot of people want me to try and get this happening. You know, I have got an idea. I've got an idea. Give me a second. I've got an idea for that. It might work. All right. I got a few different screwdrivers here. I'm going to have a look. I might be able to use a flat blade screwdriver to do this. Now I've lost, there it is. And there's a different shaped, that's not going to work. Will this one work? I think it will. I think it'll work. Here we go. Let's see what happens. it's getting very hard to turn it. And now that I've gone that far, I kind of committed myself to it, haven't I? Get up on top of it, Dave. I want to try and get as much weight down over the top of it as possible. Done. Done. It saves me having to get up, flip the whole thing over later on. So remember I said one of the 4 sections was clogged with a bit of steel in it still. I just got a flat blade and worked to the other 2 that was still good. Reading, done. Okay. It is a stable workbench. There's another, that's my mobile bench underneath. All right, move this out of the way. And over here, about there, right? Alrighty, let me have a look. And I'm going to have a look at the other camera here. Tip it down a little bit. You can't see what I'm seeing at the moment. Let's just tip that down to about there. All right. Now the fun part. I'm going to do picture in picture, and you can see what's happening from over there. All right, let's wheel this over closer. To about there. And you know, last week when we had all that trouble, I was just an idiot. I can't believe I did it. Putting the trying to get the felt underneath. It's just a matter of a couple of clamps. It was suggested to me after it, and didn't I feel silly? Of course, just a couple of clamps to do that. That's all up out of the way. Move the mouse. All right. Here we go. Move this one back out of the way. And I can slide this across. A bit further. And up we go. Come around the back. And a bit further. All right. And up. There is a fair weight in it. I'm telling you now. How to get my hands underneath is the next question. That's the way. By coming up here, I'm using my legs to lift rather than my stomach. I'm not trying to crane it. You get a good look at the arch anyway. Now, any minute now, the table that I'm standing on is going to start rolling away. Okay. Now I can move this table back out of the way. And push it on a bit further. How's that? Isn't it beautiful? I love it. Do you ever do a project and you look at it and you think, yep, that's nice, I like it. So this is, as I say, this is Jarrah. Some people would think that it's the colour of Purple Heart. Purple Heart can look like this, but it's Jarrah. Absolutely beautiful. Now, next thing is to get the lifter out. This guy's going to do all the hard work for me. Remember this simple thing. See down here, this is the part that's going to be holding on to it. All right. Okay, all of this up and out of the way. Put a couple of clamps. I can take these little clamps off now and put them at the front. We're doing well with time. We're doing just fine. Just fine. Going to move it along a little bit that way so it's centered. So down the bottom, if you're watching on this camera here, down the bottom I've got these supports already set up so that as the unit comes down, it will swing down onto those and keep the back elevated so I can roll it onto its legs properly. That's the plan. That's the plan. No hernia, buddy. No, I'm all good. Yep, it's a great hinge. I've got to get it in the right spot. I should have really put this on before I started this part. There we go. One and two. Right, now centering. Very easy to center it because it's right in the middle of the arch. That's it there. Tighten it up so it's not going to go anywhere. Morning, Greg. And that's what we're going to be going on to. And I'm going to clamp it onto there so it doesn't come tumbling down onto me, because that would also be a little bit ugly. Here we go, up to there. And bring the whole thing back to me. Okay, now it's starting to get on that tip point. We'll put this clamp on. Nope, not on that point we're not. We're going to make sure it's on properly. That's good. That's good. Okay, it ain't going to go anywhere. Now when I get it down there and it lands on those feet, those supports that I've got down there, then I've got to undo this. Now, I've also got to be aware that the top has got all of the weight of these legs that are going to be way out behind me. So I have to concentrate on what's happening at the top, not so much what's happening at the bottom. I will hold the clamp. I'll hold my hand against the top as it comes down to me. Here we go. If she snaps, I'm just going to let it go. She's down. Undo that clamp. And push it back off the brace, off the support. And now lay it down. That's all there is to it. And stand her up. Not quite yet. I'm going to have a look at it and say, well, that was fun. I'm going to move this table out of the way first. Because I haven't got enough room in here for that and the other one anymore. Out you go. Oh, this is lovely. This is lovely. I'm going to switch the camera around so you can have a look under there as to how nice that looks. Let me have a look. Where's your cam? There it is. So that's how it's going to look when it's standing up. That's the arch, which is the main brace. Cole Hosey said to me this morning, Dave, did you theme it on the harbour bridge? I thought, well, I hadn't really. I was more of a Japanese look that I was after. But wow. What do you think? What do you think? Move this back and let's stand her up. Up you come. Oh, that's one beautiful table. Take all these off. Move that. And I'm going to move it back over here. I love those rubber feet. I love it. It's absolutely beautiful. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around with a 5/8 roundover, and I haven't seen this side for a long time. It's just beautiful. The resin infill and everything. Oh, it's just magic. All right, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. This is the guy I'm going to use. So you can see the cutter in there. It's a 5/8 or 16mm roundover. And I've got the dust hood on it because I started doing it without the dust hood on the other side, on the legs, and that wasn't fun. Okay, now if you have a Google Assistant, I'm going to talk in a minute and it will probably tell you it doesn't know what you're talking about. You ready? Hey Google, turn the charger on.
Sure, turning the battery charger on.
Done. Okay, now the reason I've said that is because my dust extractor is plugged in to the battery charger area. Let's see if I can get this so we've got a better view of everything that's going to be happening. Lower this down and tip that. I think that's a better view. All right, I'm going to come back for a quick read. You were so worried, Beck, were you? Just envision disaster making. Well done, Dave. No more tearing. All breathe, yep. Golf clap, okay. Yours had no idea. Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? I love doing that to Google. All right. So I'm going to make a little bit of a noise in a second. Put a plug-it lead onto the router because they work better when they've got electricity put into them. Yeah, this is just going to be a beautiful table. It's designed to go on the deck. I'm rebuilding a timber deck at my place in the next couple of weeks. It's a renovation. It's been wanting to be done for years, so I really do need to do it. And this will complement it perfectly. Also, this is big enough for me to put 2 Stanton benches on, side by side. So I'll have an 8-foot long Stanton bench. It'll be magic, and it'll be a perfect height. So for those that are interested, 770 millimeters is table height. I'm offs. See you later, Ash. We're going to finish the top today. Jim? All right. I'm going to oil it the same as I've done underneath. Cool. All right, just check that it's going to turn the dusty on. Helps if you have it plugged in, turned on. Oh, it's turned itself off. Hey Google, turn the battery charger on.
Okay, turning on the battery charger.
Done. Now, the cutter is going to be cutting this direction, so I have to go around the outside counterclockwise. I'll spin this around and you just watch how nice it comes up. I'm going to stop it just there for a second. Can you see any dust? And I'm taking 16 millimeters off. I'll start over that side so you can watch it a little bit closer. At the moment it's got a 3/4 inch roundover. So if I come down to here, and there's some cranky stuff here too. You watch this. Do you see how much I'm taking off there? And that is just going to make it super friendly to touch. I'm going to go around the rest of the table now, okay? Now along the end grain. Little dag there it's caught on. So underneath here you can get some little things will catch, especially little bits of resin. They don't like sliding too much. I was just getting a slight mark there. Beautiful. I'll bring you back to the front camera. I'm going to show you something else. See, there's nothing, I get amazed at how good the dust extraction is. I am taking so much material off at the moment. If I was to take the dust extraction off, you would be amazed. I'm not going to. What I'm going to do is I'm going to switch the cameras down to there. So this is the cyclone or the separator for the dust extractor. You'll see how much starts to come through there while I finish off this last section of roundover. So I've got possibly 4.5, 5 feet, so nearly 1,500 millimeters left to go. All right, okay, that's the end of the noise for the moment, but love it. Next thing is to give it a quick round over, then we're going to oil it. Magic. Now what paper have I got on there? I've got black paper. How many of you have picked up a sander and just started sanding and think, why isn't it working? You know, because you haven't got any paper on your Wally. Okay, plug it. Oh, always with pluggets, if you've got a Festool sander, put the power lead on first. Then you're not tempted to drag around the back here and maybe tear the lead off. And then you put your dust extraction hose on after, and that's done. Now paper, I think I'm going to go 220 grit, because I think I've done everything else to 220 on that table. With an oil, there's different oils like different amounts of sanding. With this stuff, what I'm using is this, as I say, that stuff, Interbuild, I think it's called. That's the stuff that I'm using that has no particular color. They call it clear, even though it's got that stuff in it. Okay, so I'm using 220, and remember I did a video on sanding. Make sure there is no crap on the pad, little bits of splinter or anything like that, because what happens if you leave those on, it creates a high point, and then the paper is going to have one part that's proud, and you're going to have swirlies absolutely everywhere. Check the back of the paper as well. Make sure it's all clear. Line up the holes as well as you can. Try and get it centered, because then it's going to turn without creating too much vibration. All right, I'm going to make a little bit more noise, and you're also going to be surprised about how much or how little dust there is. Now what I'm doing here is I'm going over at an angle. Like I'm going forwards and up and over and then back down again. I'm not just doing this because that will give me flat spots, and I don't want that. The reason I can do it with 220 at this stage is that I've already done all the sanding to the side, and the cutter that I was just using then in the router is super sharp, and I know from experience it leaves a beautiful finish. The reason I'm doing the sanding is because there may have been a little spot at the top here where the cutter was just down a touch, but the other reason I'll tell you in a second when I remember it. There was a little bit of mark as I was going through from something stuck on the underside of the plate. we've gone past halfway. I've got the soft pad on as well. Best will have different grades of pad. The blue one's for flat work. Standard is an ordinary general purpose. And this is the super soft, which allows me to do all curved work. I did the inside of the arch with it, and it did it really well. Around the corner. Nearly finished. There we go. Now I'm just going to go around the edge. Because I can see a couple of spots, but it just needs to tidy up. Now at this stage also, I'm going to turn the dust extraction down. If you have your dust extractor turned on full bore, what happens, it sucks the pad down onto the surface, and anything that's going to scratch will leave a mark. So you turn your dust extraction way down and away you go. Here we go. This has got to be done. I'm not going to put a finish on it while there's these couple of marks. It's only a small area. Remember I said when I was coming along here, it looked like there was something just catching underneath. Done. Done, done, done. Okay, next thing, very important. Get rid of all of that residual dust that's sitting on the top. Turn the dust extraction back up again. And here we go. Don't push down on these things because it'll end up scratching the surface on this particular timber anyway. Just let it glide over the top. Cool. I'll switch that out to a soft brush for around the edges. And off. Next thing, tack cloth. Where have I put mine? Ah, David, where'd you put it? I'll grab another one. This is microfiber cloth. I'm going to use it as a tack cloth, which means it's just going to pull up the last little bits of dust. Now, one of the secrets about oiling is you put it on and let it soak in, and then you rub it off again. Then when it's dried, what I do with mine is I go around with 4-0 steel wool. So it's a steel wool it's very fine, it has no soap in it. The other thing that I was going to say about this particular brand of oil is they say do not use the Scotch-Brite pad to apply it. So, fair enough. I won't. Oh, wow, this is just so beautiful. All right. That's why we did that. All right. Plenty of shake on this. And set up the camera over here. Why not? Let's see if it's going to show. Yep. I've got a couple of tins here just in case. Now, I could be tempted just to pour this straight onto the table, but I leave a heavy deposit in one area and I want it to do evenly, so I don't like doing that. I'm going to put it into this container. And you can see what I mean, like it's got solids, it's kind of a dark brown colour. I'll drop some more in there. I've got another container here that I'm just pop the lid up and try and get this out. There we go. Pour some into this. So you can see I've given it a shake. That's the colour it is. You can use a brush. Or a rag. And I advise you to wear some gloves as well. I'm just going to use these ones. I'm only going to use one. I don't need two. Done. Exothermos. Yes. Yeah, so they say, I'll talk about that a bit more in a minute. Here we go. You can see where I've done the black resin on the infill, and it's just come up so nicely. One of the other things with oil, the finer you sand, the lighter the colour it's going to come up. If I had a really, really coarse finish, like if I'd just stopped at say 60 grit paper, this would be very dark. What do you think of that? It really is worthwhile doing the prep. Also, if I just brushed it, and that's clear, I can see straight down inside. The clear resin in spots as well has come up magic. If I brushed it and left it, I would also get a darker finish like I did on the base. So we're going to put it on and leave it for about, well, possibly I'll start to rub it back off again after the show's finished. Beautiful. Exothermic. Now, exothermic, anything that's got linseed oil in it basically is exothermic. Exothermic means it will self-combust if you leave it in a certain way. If I was to have a bunch of these rags and just left them on a counter, I run the risk of them just catching fire. Not through anyone putting a match to them, just catching fire. So there's a couple of things. If I was to have finished with a coarse paper instead of a finer paper, like the 220 is fine, don't go too much with this. The Liberon, I went down to 2000, I think, because that's just, it comes up really well. I know how it responds. With this stuff, I've gone to 220 only, and it's responding really well. The grain is left open at 220. I haven't sealed it at all with the sandpaper, so it can still absorb and accept the oil. So what I do with these papers, or with this rag, when I'm finished, it will go outside on the grass and evaporate all of the stuff off the rag. Then the rag's fine to either put in the bin or use it for something else. I normally just throw them in the bin, they're done. I'm around the back here, you can't see that. Going around the sides, across the end grain, it just looks beautiful. All right, now I'm going to just wipe along the grain from one end to the other. And they say to do this, if you leave stuff outside, leave this kind of thing outside, they say to do this twice a year. I'm going to ask Vicky to make a raincoat for this thing. Basically, it's going to be a tarpaulin with elastic around the edges, and it will live on top of this whilst it's not being used. Because the possum likes to get up in the tree and he eats, and he's got a very efficient digestive system. It goes straight through him and lands on anything underneath. And I do not want this covered in possum poop. Nearly done. There we go. I'm going to leave that sit for the moment. It's going to soak in. It'll go almost matte, And I'm going to give it another coat a little bit later on. And take this glove off and switch the cameras. There we go. I'm going to have a quick read. You missed a spot. Thanks, baby. Just started collecting them cardboard boxes, ice cream. Yes. Most lost garage from fire started in insert or rag. Yes. As opposed to fruit bats. Yes. Okay, so this I'm going to decant back into there. Done. And put the lid back on. So it's come up all right. What do you reckon? I think it looks nice. And underneath, oh, it's just so beautiful. Do you want to have another look underneath? Why not? I'll get the other camera working again. And I'll take it off the stand. All right, freehand camera work. This will be fun. All right, I've got no idea what you can see from there. Remember, this is underneath and the mount plates for the casters at either end. And the Jarrah, you're not really going to get a good look at the Jarrah under there because it is so dark under there. I think it's nice. And then the counterbore areas on the back, which I quite like. And I think I might leave them. You never can tell. Maybe I will make some plugs. I use the standard Forstner bit, so it's going to be fine. This is the end grain along the end of the table. Again, I'll be going over that again with a bit more oil maybe tomorrow or the day after, but I'll rub it back with 400 steel wool, 40 steel wool and oil again. You can see it's already starting to dry out in spots, which is fine. All right, back to the main camera. Put this guy to the side and check my run sheet. Are you? You know I'll plug those holes. All right. I'd also love to say thank you to my patrons, all of my patrons on Patreon. You really do make me smile. When I get a new patron, I just light up. I go and tell Vicky straight away, I'm like a kid with a new toy. So if you can support me there on Patreon, that's fantastic. If you can't, well, you know, I understand everyone's got a different financial situation. There's a certain level on Patreon. If you join at a certain level, you get your name read out as well. That's one of the perks. I think it's from $5 and up. You will also be given private stuff that no one else gets to see. It's normally a few days before the show. You'll get a heads up on what's happening. You know, when I can get the time. It's not religiously scheduled, but I try and do it as much as I can. So these people that are on a certain level, as I say, and up, they get their names read out. Johannes Mohr, John Parra, Vincent Ngian, Peter Woolworth, Justin Bailey, Father Brett Guthrie, Mike Deam, Wayne Cargill, John Lynch, and Mr. Blue Eyes. Now, I don't know if that's Frank Sinatra or what, but thank you very much for everyone. All right, we're going to have the Patreon chat. That's another thing. Anyone on any of my patrons can join in that Patreon chat, and you just go to the Patreon page, go down a few of the headings. I think it's probably about 6 or 7 down now. Might bump it up to the top again, and we just have a chat for half an hour. It could be about anything. To people all around the world, and it's fascinating to catch up with what's happening in their world, or in their part of the world. And don't forget, this will be somewhere else next week. It's Zoe's little thing. She thought that was pretty tricky. And I'm off for my second dose next week, so I should be able to travel around, do anything I want. And until the next time, of course. All right, thank you everyone for watching. Look after yourselves, be nice to each other, and I shall see you next week. Remember, daylight saving, 1 hour earlier for most people.